Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Shockwave48 here. Welcome back to more info of My Hero Academia Season 6. Still continuing on with Chapter 367, where Deku is pretty much still going berserk and he's still on taking out Shigaraki. Now, we don't know what might happen, but we're going to find out during this video. Alright, so if you're watching today's video, of course, make sure you hit that like button. And if you want to see more information of My Hero Academia, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Alright, so without further ado, let's get started.
So at the end of the previous chapter, we saw Izuku finally come back to UA to take on Shigaraki, and in this chapter it's revealed, or should I say confirmed, that he was assisted by Star and Stripes' pilot friends, who took him there on their jets. And once he showed up, he quickly smashed Shigaraki in a pretty cool sequence, and afterwards Shigaraki says, is he even stronger than before? This is in reference to when they had fought in the previous war, of course, and he says that glow around him, just like the third. He's talking about the third user's Jin quirk, of course, which allows Izuku to build up kinetic energy and release it, and we saw him do this as soon as he got there, in combination with slingshotting himself off of those poles with a black whip quirk as well. This is his faux 100% move that he does, and I guess this is the all for one portion of the consciousness here that is saying this, because only all for one would know the third user of One for All, because he fought him a long time ago. I guess almost 100 years, because it's the second and the third user of One for All that were the spearheads of that uprising against All for One back in the day. And after Izuku knocked Shigaraki slash All for One away with this smash, he looks around the battlefield and he sees that everyone looks like they're dead and or dying.
Yeah.
And he notices that Bakugo is the most dead looking there with the All Might card next to him. And this is because Bakugo is still technically dead right now, I guess, right? And naturally, Izuku seeing this, he's going to freak out, and Shigaraki slash All for One is further trying to egg him on, because that's what he ultimately wanted here. That's why he went after Bakugo in the first place, because he wanted Izuku to go into his freak out rage mode, because he saw him do this in the previous war with Father, when he stabbed Bakugo through the stomach. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, Raid Shadow Legends. That's right, guys.
I heard it's a fun
Raid
game.
Shadow Legends.
I don't
it's
play
pretty
it
much
often.
the first game to bring you a true console level experience to your phone. Now, me personally, my favorite aspect of Raid Shadow Legends are the bosses and their awesome designs, which are also terrifying. So that's why I want to give you my top 3 scariest bosses. So number 3 has got to be the Fire Knight. I mean, this guy has a lack of a face and therefore lack of emotion.
Sometimes I don't like
And
games
number
like
2,
that. I mean, you take one hit, then you wait for the other player to take their hit as well. And it takes a few minutes to take out your enemy out.
I mean, look at this thing. You may legitimately get nightmares from facing this boss.
Yeah, it's one
Aside
disgusting
from the
spider.
scary bosses, there's also new stuff going on in Raid, because they just released a giant new feature called Awakening, and a brutal new dungeon, the Iron Twins Fortress. And if you're good enough to take them down, you'll see a huge payoff: being able to awaken your champions. Awakening your champions lets you choose a powerful blessing that can transform how they perform in battle. But wait, here's the actual big news, because Raid has just released a super powered legendary version of everybody's favorite champion, Death Knight. But the best part is everyone can get him for free just by logging in. All you have to do is log in and play Raid for 7 days between now and October 27th. And you can add Ultimate Death Knight to your collection. But there's
He
more,
does take
because you
heavy
can
damage.
also use the DK Rises promo code for a bunch of free items to instantly level your new strongest champion all the way to level 50. So if you haven't started playing Raid yet, click my link in the description or scan my QR code right here on the screen, and you'll get unique bonuses worth $30. We're talking a free epic champion, Rektar Drat, 200,000 silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard, so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in the game. All this treasure will be waiting for you here. Further in this chapter, he says, in this state of rage, his movements
I
are
saw one of
bound
those
to
pictures
be
in the
overly
comics.
hasty and predictable. A well-placed counterattack should break his spine in two. So, like I said, he's trying to use this to his advantage to ultimately defeat Izuku and eventually take One For All from him. And Izuku does freak out big time and goes back into that rage mode. He's even like biting
Yeah,
onto one of his
he went
black
crazy
ribs.
in the
This is,
last
like, a
time.
pretty emotional panel here. It looks great. But before he can like completely explode, Mirio shows up and he's like, it's alright, Deku. It'll be fine. Everyone's still breathing. Right now, Edshot is saving Bakugo's life from inside of him. So yeah, I guess that means that Bakugo is still kind of dead, I guess. But I guess this also means that Edshot hasn't completed his ultimate ability
How long is him going to take to revive
He like
him?
condenses himself into all of these strings and he's going to go inside of Bakugo's chest, heal the damaged portions of his heart and lungs while also becoming them. But then on top of that, giving him like internal CPR. All of this at the cost of his own life, of course. And considering the state that we see Bakugo in and what Mirio's saying here, I guess it still hasn't completed yet. But then after like a little back and forth between All For One and Mirio's words are enough to make Izuku remember things that people have told him throughout his life, such as like All Might and Star and Stripes pilots. But then he also remembers what Banjo, the fifth user of One For All, had told him, where it's like it's okay to be angry. The vital thing to do is keep your emotions under control. And this, of course, in reference to when he had first met Banjo in the Vestige world. When he told him, like, listen, when you use this power out of anger, it'll really start working for you. What really matters is controlling your heart. It's okay to get mad. That rage can be the source, but in the meantime, you gotta control it better. And that's essentially what Izuku is doing here. Because after he remembers these things and what Mirio had just said, and he reverts back to a calmer, more serious Izuku. And I guess
he's calm now, but serious.
Here. And this is the best way to utilize One For All. But after Izuku calms down, we come to the final page of the chapter where he says, All For One, is Shigaraki still there? And this is an awesome panel. I really like this one where we see him using Black Whip as like a scarf, staring down Shigaraki.
Actually pretty cool.
One with all of the vestiges behind him. Like, this is pretty cool stuff. But also, in my opinion, this is kind of setting up the end game of this arc / fight, I suppose, because him asking All For One if Shigaraki is still in there is how this is pretty much going to conclude. And I think it was set up in chapter 305 as well, because if we go back to that chapter, we see Izuku in the Vestige world speaking to all of the previous users of One For All, and Nana asks him, like, will you have the resolve to kill Shigaraki if that's what it takes? And Izuku says, I could see he was hurting, or rather I could feel it. When Shigaraki's consciousness invaded One For All, when he was focusing so hard on his dream, I felt it inside, all that rage. I felt a little boy crying. And then we see like this vision of little Izuku walking up to like little Tenko. And then he says, One For All is a power meant for saving, not killing. Maybe there's no other way besides killing. And I don't know what I'm going to do when the time comes, but I want to save that little boy. And like I said, that's pretty much setting up what's going to happen, because it also correlates with what we've been seeing happening inside of Shigaraki / All For One. For like the last 30 something chapters or so, we've seen like there's this offshoot of Tenko's consciousness inside there as well. We have
like, a lot of hands grabbing on him.
The All For One consciousness, but now there's like Tenko, and he's being bound by like all of these hands. And he also originally called out to Izuku saying that he was a true hero. So what I'm assuming is going to happen here is some way or another, Izuku is going to break through to that Tenko consciousness, and I guess it's going to break out of those hands that are holding him back, and he'll eventually become the dominant personality here. And what's going to happen after that, you know, with Tenko being inside of this monstrous body that he has become, not really sure. I mean, it's possible that he could just morph back to being Tenko again, because, you know, it was established in the previous chapter that Shigaraki's body can like modify itself to the specific situation that it's in and whatever the ideal form requires. And in theory, if Tenko takes over, then maybe it could just morph back to being Tenko, you know, possibly. I mean, it's not going to completely erase the fact that he is still this crazy quirk singularity monstrosity, but I don't know, it's something, I guess. Or Eri shows up randomly and then just rewinds him. I mean, that's always a possibility too. Some way or another, Izuku is going to break through to the Tenko consciousness, and I think that's how this will ultimately end. Let me know what you think about this.
Alright. It sounds like a risky plan, but if possible that if Deku really tries to break through inside Shigaraki to get that boy out of that evil's body, there's no, I don't know, I can't tell if he's going to be a good guy once he gets out, or he might end up being the bad guy. Because if he turns out bad, then obviously Deku is probably going to end him. I wouldn't probably end him as Kim, I'm just saying. But it kind of looked like Deku might have the right solution of saving Shigaraki. I mean, if he does save him, and All for One comes in and reverses him back, it's gonna be bad news. But I don't think that will actually happen. I'm just guessing, but it's possible. It is possible to save someone who's desperate and needs some help. But as the point being, as killing doesn't seem a good idea, the best chance is to save the person that's inside the evil's body. So I don't understand how he got that in the first place. I mean, I always thought Shigaraki was Shigaraki. I didn't know there was a boy inside of him that was just so much hatred that I mean Shigaraki has some massive sad history back then. Yeah. But anyway, I can't wait to see what happens next on, My Hero Academia. It looks like we're getting to the ending of the season of the manga, but yeah. But I'm also looking forward to seeing the show. So that's the big part. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Stay tuned for more. Shotway 48